Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of the Let's Get Chatting podcast. Before we get into the seriously great conversation in this podcast we've got for you today, I'd like to just request a few things. If you could just go to our social medias and check it out, hit like, comment, subscribe on our latest videos, that would be great. So we are on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Anywhere you can find a podcast, we are there under Let's Get Chatting. If you do like the content, please give it a like. Give us a subscribe, hit the notification button so you can get all of our latest episodes, rate us on Spotify, iTunes, and those sort of bits and bobs, and just support us as much as you can. We appreciate you listening. Let's get into the episode.
Hello guys, and welcome to another episode of the Let's Get Chatting podcast. Today you got myself, Jamie, and then you got Josh, and today's guest we got Tommy. A little bit to loosen up to get into the podcast today. Just want to go, how's your day been really, and that sort of stuff. Hey Joshua.
That's the one.
How was that? How was that?
That was pretty good.
Yeah, thank you.
Go. I'm handing over. I'm retiring from podcasting. It's going
please don't. Whoa. I'll run out of words in about 2 minutes, but
cool. Well, I'll go. Yeah. So my day, pretty much nothing major really. I went to work, did the same old shit, different day really. Had a bit of a shitter today. I had a major shitter yesterday. We won't talk about that. But then I got home and my cat's like possessed.
What do you mean?
Like my cat is actually possessed today. So I don't know what's happened to him, but he's cut his tail. You know the ginger one, Archie.
Right.
He's cut his tail, but the problem is he's clearly in pain somehow. But every time it touches the floor, he's fucking like, mate, hissing, attacking himself, climbing the walls. Fucking mate, I've never seen anything like it. I said to Lena, I was like, I might sleep downstairs. I'm staying away from him. He's scaring me. And like, I was like on the sofa, and he like came to sit on me, and I was like, nah, because if he touches his tail while he's on me, like he's gonna take my face off, you know. But he did touch his tail and he hissed, and Lena was in the bathroom. Lena's my fiance, and all she could hear was me go yeah, so that's what's interesting about my day. That's about it really.
Yeah, fair enough. What about your day, Tommy? How's your day been, mate?
Same old. I mean, that's the thing. It's I've just been working, putting up CCTV. That's currently what I'm doing. But as we'll get into in a bit, that's all about to change due to some stuff that's gone on. So, yeah, just doing the 9 to 5 grind, really.
Yeah,
nice.
Feel that.
Well, sounds like we're sort of in a similar sort of industry at the minute because we're both telecommunications engineers.
All right, okay.
Yeah, so,
running cables.
Running cables today, that's where I've been. Running Cat5.
Yeah.
And setting up some phones. But yeah, it's been an all right day, to be honest. Everything's went pretty smoothly. Customers happy.
If the sun's out, it's not too bad, is it? You know.
Absolutely, yeah. Well,
just
it was internal cables. It wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad though. But yeah,
did anyone get the thunderstorm today?
Yes. Yeah.
It was
fun. It was lightning here.
Yeah, it was nuts. It was like, it was only for like 40 minutes, but it was a full-on storm.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Blue skies here in the Midlands. It's been an absolute belter of a day.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, I was in Northampton, and it wasn't too bad up there. It was banging, to be fair. It was like 26 degrees. But yeah, that's how my day's been. But yeah, Josh.
Yeah, sweet. Well, now that shit's out of the way, we're all happy. We're all talking. Who is Tommy?
It was Tommy, yeah. Well, I mean, up until 2 years ago, it was a bit of a waste of space. If I'm honest, I was bad on the drink, mate. I was a chef, 15 years, and I sort of hid behind that sort of title as being a chef, and you almost think that you can get away with drinking when you're a chef, right? And
yeah.
You know the score of the chefs. Yeah, that was me. That was me for 17 years. Just grinding away, just day by day. I mean, I got to do some traveling. I've been to Bali and I've lived there. I've done a lot of the travel, but it was just a big blur, to be honest. So it's COVID, believe it or not, that saved my life rather than sort of destroy it.
Ruining it like most people.
Yeah, I know. So I sometimes feel a bit guilty talking about it like that. Literally, I was going like 14 hours a day. We'd open a new restaurant in Leeds, and I was just burning out. I could just feel myself just slowly dying, and COVID struck, and it gave me that moment to just chill, relax, and then I suddenly realised, God, man, there's more to life than this, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I came into the CCTV industry to sort of get my head together. Still on the drink though, didn't really get rid of that, and so it was just in the last couple of years I got myself straightened out and training to be a transformation coach, training to help people push forward after addiction and go on to the life that they want to live, you know. And yeah, so here we are now doing like the TikTok, doing the podcasts, just trying to get the message out there.
Yeah.
And and I've just landed myself a new job in Mexico, believe it or not.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Mexico.
So so I'm going to be a community leader for a space that the Coaching Masters. I don't know if you know the company, the Coaching Masters. It's a company that basically trains coaches.
Okay.
And so they're opening spaces all over the world, and they want me to go and head up the one in Mexico in Tulum, and then back to London next year to open that, and then they want to open them all over the world. So international community leader for all future projects. How on earth that has happened? Well, I do. I think it's, you know, I've manifested it. I've worked hard, but man, it's just all come one weekend. So
wow, that's
incredible.
Wow, that's sick. That's sick. So going back, what I want to do is we'll build up to this moment. So going back, would you say with the alcohol you were an addict? Is that something you would say you were? Do you still like? Are you teetotal now? Do you not drink?
Yeah, no, I'm totally teetotal now. You know what, that subject about addict, and in the moment, yeah, I was definitely. Yeah. So if you all you want to do is get more and keep doing more and keep destroying yourself, then that is an addict, isn't it? That is someone that is in self-destruct mode. But I don't believe in continuing that label for the rest of your life. I think that's what a lot of people get wrong. And I think what a horrible thing to just label yourself as. Yeah. People say, no, they once an addict, always an addict. Now, there's a tendency for me to consume anything, like I work too hard or I'll exercise too much.
You have an addictive personality sort of thing.
There's that, exactly. So there is that side of it. That's something that's in you, but that doesn't necessarily have to be a negative thing. Yeah, in that moment, I was certainly, mate, an addict.
I think I've said that before on the podcast as well. Like, addiction isn't always negative. I'm very much like you. I've got an addictive personality, but I've got ADHD to the 9, so it's a very short spanned addictive personality. And this podcast is probably the thing I've done for the longest out of all of my endeavors I've, loved and fell in love with.
I thought it was your bike riding, to be honest, Josh. You was quite a pretty big bike rider.
For the one day, yeah?
For the one day.
You still got your bike?
Yeah. It's in the shed.
It's in the shed.
Mine's outside and getting warm at the minute. It's getting a bit warm.
I'm literally like, I was thinking about selling it the other day, and then in my head I was like, no, I might want to use it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly that.
No, I'm really bad. But this is the point. That the point is, like, I've been through stages where, I mean, I would say gaming can be a negative addiction. That's something I've always been doing, like addicted to games to the point where I'd fucking bunk off school for 2 weeks to play Call of Duty and like all of this shit. The gym, I was super addicted to the gym, which is a healthy addiction. You've got, but I am also like, I've had tendencies where I have been pretty bang on the booze, but I was always able to just, because it's short span, I can just shut it off and go to something else. That's what I was always pretty good at. But obviously, I think so. You are right. Not all addictions are bad. And I think the negative connotation about the word addiction is the problem. It's not so much the word, it's the feeling behind the word.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's it. And it's like a lot of it, like the relapse and there's a lot of negative labeling that I think that goes on with it. And, like I have relapsed. I did after like the first year, and it's probably the best thing that happened to me because it gave me some realization about the fact that I didn't have the right direction. You can have a morning routine, right? You can do all of these things, meditate. There's so many things out there that will get you to a point where you're not doing it, but it's after that, isn't it? That's the thing. It's the aftercare. It's where are you headed once you've got it all clean and sorted. Where are you actually headed? Like I've used it now to in my favor. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So go on, Bex. You were about to.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, in regards to like what's like, so like, going back to like childhood and all that, you had a good upbringing and all that sort of stuff, and there wasn't like any bad vibes, because that's what you normally find like with people, isn't it? Like they have bad upbringings, and but that with that way you can either go one way or the other. It can really, you can go fuck it, I'm gonna be an addict or drink and do drugs, or you can be like, right, I'm gonna fucking change my life, I'm not gonna have that, and go the other way.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you now, like, one of the best things I learned was about, how, like, it was shadow work, basically. Carl Jung, who was like the sort of founder of all this shadow work. And you go back to, you look back at your younger self, and what seems trivial to you now wasn't when you were that age. But it's something that sticks with you, and it's still like, let's be honest, like when you're like 14 or whatever, 13, and you have something embarrassing sexually or something, you get a little bit bullied. That is the worst thing that's going on in your life at that moment, right?
Yeah.
But then when you're older, you look at him like, oh yeah, I know, that was it. But the actual, the feeling is still inside the mind as if you were that kid. And that's just ripped all the way through this time, and you've held on to it. But you've passed it off because you feel like that was just kid stuff, trivial stuff.
Yeah.
So only when you go back and you find it, and you know, you realize how powerful it is. So you could have what you class as a perfectly good upbringing, but you're still hiding all of this, you're still burying all this stuff. You know what I mean? So that's one of the things I realized, and I found a lot of bits and pieces, like say, trivial, quite a few bits and bobs, but every time that I dealt with it, I felt lighter and lighter, and felt further and further away from wanting to sort of, because it's a coping mechanism, isn't it? Basically, any sort of function like that is a coping mechanism. So, yeah, it was definitely, that's one of the things I'd like to get across to a lot of people, is that you might have had this all singing or dancing upbringing, but there's something there. There's a reason that you're trying to sort of hide and escape.
No, that's interesting, because I've always looked at Bicker that way. Obviously, Bicker, we've spoke about him many a times, been through addiction, clean as a whistle now, fucking doing all the good shit, but had a great childhood.
Yeah, I did. It's weird.
Like, is there anything now, hearing that you could look back at and be like, oh,
nah, like the thing is, I can't. I had like the best, you know, my parents like best upbringing.
Yeah,
I had everything, literally everything I ever wanted. And then it wasn't until like I was into my 20s, and then I started dabbling in a bit of coke, and then it was like you start doing the process, don't you? Once every 2 months, then it comes once a month, once a week. Then
game over.
But I was a functioning addict. Yeah. Like literally could go to work, 2 hours sleep. Fucking it was mental. I look back on it now in my head, and it's fucking cringe.
Chaos in it, absolutely.
It is cringe worthy, like the shit I done. But yeah, it's now I feel, you know, I'm pretty fucking happy at the minute, to be honest.
So what do you reckon has changed? Like, so you know, obviously, was it drink as well? Or was it just a coke?
No, but I did drink, so
it's an enabler, isn't it?
Yeah,
absolutely.
I couldn't have the coke without the drink. I wouldn't a dry sniffer.
No, because that's a weird thing, right?
That's a weird thing. Yeah. I had to fucking drink, and then if I drank too much, you have to have a bit of sniff to fucking straighten yourself up.
Yeah.
Do you not find it funny, the term just there where you said, it's a dry sniffer, right? And then it's like, that's even lower. And do you think that was a mechanism you used to use, Bix, to be like, I'm not that bad?
No, because I knew I was bad. I just didn't want to face up to it.
Do you see what I'm saying, though? When you, like, if you're looking at, no, he's a dry sniffer, it's worse. That's worse. Do you see what I'm saying?
No, so they're both as bad as one another, in my opinion. But yeah,
I know what you're saying though. It's like you find something that you can look at someone else and say, "Well, I'm not that bad."
Yeah. So, what was the moment for you, Tommy? What was the moment where you were like, "Nah, fuck the beer," knocking it on the head?
It was well, I knew it was funny. I knew I was going in a downward spiral, and I was on the I was driving around. I was driving the van. I'd basically trained to be a CCTV engineer, and I went back to my Lincolnshire, and I set up a company doing it myself. Okay. So I did some pressure there, and I was continuing to drink. I was just, and then by that time I was on the vodka, And I remember just sitting in the park with my van running in the morning, just trying to get it down to stick, just to get it into the system. Because in the morning, you just know how, you feel so dreadful. So you're trying to get it down without throwing up, which sounds now when you talk about it, it's just fucking mental, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're in there just like holding it down, and then eventually you can feel it go into your system. And you're like, oh, right, now I can drive and go and fit cameras for people. And I remember passing a school, and I just thought, what the heck are you doing? Like, if you hit a kid,
you
take someone's life because you can't fucking control what you're doing here.
And
it just hit me, it was like, just hit me like a ton of bricks. And I just pulled the van over. I almost crashed it. I just pulled it over, and I called my parents. I called my brother. I called some of my close mates at the time. And just let them know that I just immediate accountability. I thought, let's just let them know. Yeah. And then they came and picked me up, and my dad drove the van back, and I spent the next couple of days in bed. But it was that. So there was still a bit of moral compass in there. Do you know what I mean? To see them, all them kids playing around in that schoolyard. And I thought, what the heck is happening? So yeah, that's when it happened. But then there was another time after that when I thought I'd got in control of it.
Yeah.
Just started having a bit with poker, and then it escalated again. And it was at that point I realised, right, you need to actually have something to life that you want to live after you get sober, So then I worked on that, and that's when I did all the shadow work and all that sort of stuff. And that's when I realised that's not the cure. That would be a very taboo thing to say, but that's what pulled me away from the compulsion. From ever, when people sit there in AA and they say, "Oh, this has happened and this has happened," I nearly picked up a drink. Well, now I see all these problems or so-called downsides or bad things as just lessons.
Yeah,
seeing that synchronous moment as like what you see as a drawback also has benefits,
But going back to, like, you were saying you were drinking the vodka in the end, but leading up to the getting to the vodka part, was you just like a couple of beers a night? Like, is it sort of the same process as I do with, like, as I was with Coke sort of thing? Is it you start off with, I don't know, 4 beers a night, then it's 6 beers? Is it that sort of process, and then that shit don't start working, so you need to go to, I don't know, Jägermeister or whiskey?
Yeah, I got off beers for a while, and I was just drinking wine, and that was another thing. When you say, "Oh, well, I don't drink beers anymore," it makes you give you a beer belly. I just drink wine. And then you're doing like 2 or 3 bottles of wine a night.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden they sneak their way into the van in the morning because you feel like shit, right? You don't want to be
hair of the dog.
So they were stashed everywhere, man. Like, they were behind the headrests. They were under, like, because we've got like a big transit van. I mean, it's incredible where you can hide stuff, where you can find ways to get away with it, and it just kept escalating to the point where you just didn't want to feel crap in the morning, so you get some down in the morning, and then you've got to keep topped up. It's that really that gets you, because then all of a sudden the quantity just increases so much that you haven't got space. I didn't have space in the bin for all the wine bottles and stuff. You know what I mean? Where am I going to get rid of all this stuff? So I was like, right, let's go to the vodka. Double down. And of course, you start, drinking vodka neat out of a bottle is another ball game entirely.
Yeah, that's something something I could only ever do if I was fucking 8 pints down already. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you can't taste it.
Yeah, it's mental. It's absolutely mental. And then obviously you slip up some days where you just put it down a bit too fast, and then you've got to maintain that level, and it just gets out of hand very quickly. Luckily, very quickly.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about, because you hear a lot the term addict thrown around so much these days. Like, it's thrown around like anything, like just as much as any stupid ass term like fucking homophobe or whatever. These slurs and these words that people use, they're thrown around so easily. And addict to me is one of the biggest ones, because if you were to ask, like, I know some of my mates, they go down the boozer every weekend and whatnot. They go out with the lads, do all that sort of shit.
Yeah.
People would call them an addict. In a sense, they are. But addiction, when it comes to like addiction, that's what you're talking about. That's an actual like addict, like
where you're needing it.
Yeah, that's like the deep addiction.
Yeah, but out of your 10 mates that were going down the pub, Josh, probably 2, 3 of them probably have got that thought process.
Oh,
You
yeah.
just don't know about it.
No. And it's the hiding things, like, obviously, transparency-wise, like, my mum, she's on and off addict. She's never recovered. I don't think she ever will. That's her choice. You know, you're not ready to quit till you're ready to quit, are you? But the hiding it and all that, like, we've all seen it, been through it. You know, she was hospitalized, all this sort of stuff. And like, honestly, I think the hospital was the worst thing. That it was fucking shit. It did throw a bunch of addicts together in a ward. Yeah, what are they going to talk about? What they want to do? It makes no sense.
And make them feel okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. Okay, cool. So because I think you base a lot of yourself around, like, after recovery, don't you? So what were your steps of recovery? Because I mean, I would say,
because you said you had like a relapse as well. So like, you obviously got you said you owned up, you called your parents and that, and then where did it go from there? Like, did you stay clean for a month?
Yeah. I stayed for about a year. And okay. What I'd basically done is I built a really strong morning routine. I mean, I'm talking, I've gone up like 5 o'clock and I was exercising, I was green smoothie, I was ice bath, I was meditating, all of that. The whole, like, you know, the book that is written on it, I did the whole thing. And reading and doing all that sort of stuff. And it was only then I realised I was just hiding behind that. I'd not actually dealt with the underlying issue. The fact is, I couldn't carry on doing what I was doing. I'd have killed someone or myself. So it had to stop. But just because it had to stop wasn't the solution. That was just to stop me from bloody crashing, losing my job, killing someone. So there was still that. I mean, when you look at the science of it all, there's like these dendrites in the brain, and they're like beacons, and they never really die. So they're always going to try and find a path of least resistance. And so when I wasn't living with purpose, I remember getting a little bit of an injury or something, or something happened, something changed with work as well, and I couldn't do my morning routine. It was then I realised that was all I was hiding behind, was that. And I was being accountable on TikTok from day one of my sobriety as well. But I just wasn't feeling fulfilled. And ultimately, I think that's what it was. I just needed to have some sort of direction that was like intrinsically driven in me to get up and do. So that's when it happened again. But it didn't happen like straight away. That's the thing. It's a progressive thing, isn't it? Yeah. So you just started having like a glass of wine. I was like, do you know what? I put the lid back on, and I was like, that's good. I can do this. Next week, I finished the bottle. The week after that, 2 bottles. Next thing I knew, on the floor, in tears, 10, 12 bottles of wine deep. I don't know what day it was. You know what I mean? And it's like that. You don't even know what's gone on.
Yeah.
And so I was like, but that was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because I was like, right, well, I went to AA in the beginning, you know. But don't get me wrong, I'm not going to dig anyone out who's found AA and found its work. I don't believe, personally, in sitting there in a group and affirming every week that you're powerless. I just don't think that's a good thing to do for anyone. But it does work. And when you look at the statistics of AA, unfortunately, you know, it's not the stats are against you, really, for sobriety forever. So I just wanted to find a different way, man, and I did. And I, honestly, that's what I'm going to be basing my career around, is helping people do that. So that relapse in itself was probably the best thing that happened.
With regards to the AA, do they actually tell you like the relapse stats or anything like that when you're in there, or is it no, everything's just golden?
Yeah.
I've never done anything like that myself, so
yeah, they don't touch on that, but they said it's very. I mean, technically, like, there's obviously going to be different people that go to different groups, right? I mean, my dad himself, he's been sober now for 7 years. I mean, we could talk about epigenetics and all that side of things, but he has got a great group of people. It's not particularly religious orientated. It's just people having a really nice time. But then the ones that I went to, it was very dark and dull. It was all like
doom and gloom.
Yeah, doom and gloom, and like, you know, well, if I do that, I won't be able to do that because I'll have a drink. And it's very much
put yourself in a box.
They were just teetering on a knife edge. I just felt all the time. You know, there were no one's pushing past it, and that's
they hide from the problem, don't they?
Yeah. And then it's like, well, I can't do that because I might have a drink, and then they start to to look at people that do drink as inferior or stupid. And to be honest, I don't begrudge anyone who can go out and have a nice casual drink and get a little bit of buzz on with friends. You know, fair play to you. But yeah, it just didn't work for me. So I just got out there and started to do some stuff on my own. You know.
Yeah, I mean,
especially if you start like streaming as well, like on your TikToks and stuff. That really does hold you accountable.
100%. Yeah.
If you got an audience, you know, they're going to be on you. Are you okay? Like, you know, you fucking...
Yeah, you stop posting for a few days.
You stop posting for a few days and it's like, fuck me, what's going on here?
Yeah, exactly.
And then you're constantly thinking probably in your head, like, shit.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
That's it. Fuck.
Yeah,
like, even if you're just a bit busy or something, you miss the day.
Exactly, yeah.
It's like, you know, but that's cool. But then, I wanted to make sure as well that I didn't hide behind that, because that's easily done as well, isn't it? You know, if that's the only reason why you're not drinking is to be accountable, it's not enough.
So are you looking at like the way of like doing it like out of free will, like over anything else? It's free will. I've quit because I've quit, and that's it. There's nothing to like. You're not using anything as for lack of a better term, an excuse or anything to hide behind.
That's it. That's it. That's what I wanted to make sure. Yeah, because you know, life changes, stuff happens. You know, I don't want to be in a position something catastrophic happens. You know, the death of family members or something like that, and it's just like, right, let's go. Get like that, you know. It can't be that way, because that's just more destructive than anything else. So I just wanted to make sure that I had like some stuff in place that, because inevitably life's gonna get a bit hectic, innit? The shit is gonna hit the fan at some point. And when it does, you need to be ready for it, and you've got a solid base and a solid life and some solid people around you. So that's the way I looked at it, and to be honest, it feels aligned. It feels like the best thing I've ever done.
Oh, bro. Going back to AA, I just want to put something out there, because we're talking about like how, you know, it makes people feel, how they treat it, all that sort of thing. I have this feeling, and everything I've heard about it and so on, it makes me feel like they put you in a box so much with not drinking. You shouldn't do this. You can't do this, because if you do this, you're going to drink. Da 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 da.
Yeah.
There's no wonder people relapse so much, because all humans want to do is what they're told they can't do.
Yeah, that's it.
You know, if you sit there and say, don't press that red button to anyone, it's getting pushed. That red button is going to get pushed. And I think like the authority side of it, telling you not to do it as well, is probably not good for a lot of people. Like for me, if there's someone in front of me said, you don't do this, like all this shit, I'm like, nah, I'm going to fucking do it. Like that's just the way I am, you know? So that, like,
but then you've also got to look at the case, Josh, that it does work for some people.
Yeah.
Everyone's different. Like, so what might not work for Tommy might be perfect for someone else.
Yeah, my worry is that the people it works for, listen, if you've quit, you've quit. Well done, like fair fucks to you. But like, how much has that taken away from their life? You know.
Yeah, there's a couple of ways of looking at it in there. I mean, like, for me, I want to run a story about what happened. I'm happy to talk about it like this in this forum, but I don't want to go there and run it every week. It's a belief cycle and anything like that. It's just going to strengthen. But for some people, like that conformity, and also you've got to remember, a lot of people have lost everything through it. So they haven't got any friends around them. The family have pretty much gone. That's definitely the case with a lot of people. So they've got a community that they can come and speak with people, and nothing is seen as, no one's going to judge them. Went out and did fucking, you know, a couple of liters of vodka and just went mental. So there's that side of it, isn't there? There's like community vibe. Now I'm lucky enough to not have destroyed all of my ties with my friends and everything, so I've got that. But yeah, like I say, everyone's story is different.
Yeah.
So that's why it's great that there's different options for people. All I want to do is just make sure that people are aware of the other options. But I know a lot of people just think, oh, I've got a problem, I better go to a meeting. But there's other things. That's kind of where I'm at with it all, you know.
Okay, so A didn't work. And what was, obviously I know you've mentioned that you had like your morning routines and all of that. What was it that helped you the most? Like, how did you quit? Like, how, did you write down, this is what I'm going to do? Or what was the process of you? Obviously, the process was that day after you relapsed, you're like, no, I'm not doing it again. I understand that part. But like, what was your process of going, this is how I quit and this is how I stay quit? And what would you, if people listening to this conversation and they go, okay, cool, he's quit, but how?
Yeah, absolutely. Because that is key. Like, first and foremost is accountability, right? So it's knowing because there's 12 steps. Some of that is absolutely fantastic, but for me, it's like accountability. It's knowing, admitting straight away that, right, there's an issue here. Let's let people know. You know what I mean? Because we are intrinsically driven to not let people down, right? That's who we are as humans. So the moment we let some people know, that builds a little bit in us to keep up. And then after that, I started to have a look at all of the issues. I mean, this is obviously the second time, the actual time that I really went into it. I started to look at what the feelings was when I had these triggers, when I felt like, do you know what, just go out and drink there, get wasted. What was in that moment? What was I feeling? And it was escape. It was quite a lot of stuff, and I started to get stuff written down. This is one of the worst, like the hardest things to get through to men, particularly, is to get pen to paper. It's just not something that we do. We switch. Yeah. I've seen like my videos drop off when I talk about it. I've seen people switch off when I try to talk about it in groups. It's just not something we do. But once you've actually, you've got something tangible down there, you've written, and you can see it, it just does something in your mind. There's obviously a science to it. We don't need to get into that, but getting some stuff down on paper is one of the most incredible things. And then when you mentioned earlier, about like fighting against something, a lot of these people seem to be fighting, don't they, in AA, like fighting it. Is to just acknowledge it and just, like when you're meditating, you're supposed to just let these thoughts come, pass through. If you just do that and stop fighting against it and just have the acceptance, it just becomes there's a bit of breathing space, I found. And then, like I say, back to the routines, get a good routine in place, and then just start building the life out that you want. And one of the best things to do there is to do a values determination, find out what it is you truly value in your life. And I don't mean, people will say, oh, well, it's peace and a family and this. It's not, in a sense, bullshit. It's like, what is it that you truly value? And you can ask yourself these different questions in order to get a good idea of what it is. And then
how would you recommend somebody does that?
I'd recommend they go on Dr. Demartini's website. He's a behavioural specialist. He's been around for 50 years doing it. He's got 13 questions. And it's basically like, what do you spend your money on? Where do you spend most of your time thinking about? What conversations light you up? What do you keep close proximity to yourself? It's a good 13 questions about that. And you answer a few for each one. And then by the end of it, you'll see what your life is demonstrating, what is in your life that you obviously value. Because we all live by a hierarchy of values at any one time, whether we're aware of them or not. And so if you're fighting in a different direction, and that could be something to do with why a lot of people do end up with addiction, because if you're going down the wrong path, your body's trying to tell you to go in a different path. You're fighting, and that's when it gets a little bit hectic.
Here's a strange question, right? Because this is something I do all the fucking time.
Yeah.
With these questionnaires and shit, even if I know it's something that I've got to be truly honest on, I can't be fucking honest. Like, when it's like even like, say I want to lose like 10 kilos and I go on the MyFitnessPal app or whatever, fucking fill out the form. Right. Yeah. What are your goals? What do you eat on a day? What do you do this? What do you do? You always over exaggerate. I'm always like, I'm heavily moving all day. I'm sat on a chair.
Yeah. Like, it's mad, isn't it? How you actually you're really lying to yourself, aren't you, as well?
Yeah. And you do that on MyFitnessPal to get more calories.
Yeah, this is the thing. So it's like, how do you put yourself there? And is it just you want it that much, or what is it that, like, how do you show like your truest self?
Yeah. So I just kept doing it because that was one of the most profound things I thought. I'm like, I'm sat here, no one else knows I'm doing this, and I'm bullshit. I'm bullshitting tonight, right?
It's like, what
And
the
I'm
fuck?
like, what the fuck is happening here? So I'm like, right, go again. What is it? Because people will feel like the social, moral hypocrisy, social stigmas, what you should do, supposed to do, ought to do, all of that comes into play. And it's like, no, what do you want? And honestly, I like a pat on the back. I like to feel like, I want people to say, well done, Tommy, you're smashing. I like that. I need that.
Yeah.
That was one of the things I was honest about, rather than, world peace and, of course, there's a lot of things that just society puts in the back of your mind. But I want to be recognised as a figure in my industry.
Yeah.
I want the pats on the back. I want people to look up to me. I want a sense of fame in that arena. I'm not ashamed of that at all. Like, that's what I want. I want money. And I want to get it easily. I don't want to have to work too hard for it. That's just being a little bit honest about stuff. And so you start to do that, and then it starts to unravel. Now, obviously, I want to do service. I want to give back and all that sort of stuff. That all comes out later. But once you find what it is, you don't need to worry about the picket fence and the Lamborghini and all that sort of stuff, because that'll come naturally if you're doing something that you love, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So so these 13 questions, what is it like what does it give you as an example answer or explanation? Is it like a one word? Is it a sentence? How is it formatted?
Yeah, so you just get stuff down first. Let's use the proximity thing. There's a science to like what it is you will keep in the close proximity. So for a lot of people, of course, the phone's going to be the first thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Essentially, it's part of us now, isn't it? But it's what is the function of that phone? So are you using it to post on social media mainly? Are you using it to talk to people mainly? Are you using it to play games? How are you actually using that bit of equipment? People might say, well, I keep my diary next to me. Is it to journal what you've been up to, or is it to keep your work your stringent schedule? You know what I mean? So you need to find out what the use is of these things that you keep close to you. But it takes time, and like I said, I repeated it. And the thing that kept coming out was teaching, learning, and traveling.
Right. Okay. See, I'd still be bad at that. I'd still be bad at that.
Yeah, well, this is
I'd
it.
be like, what do I answer to get it to say podcaster? like.
But that's the thing. But like, what are you getting out of doing this podcast? Like, what is it that you enjoy out of doing this podcast?
Easy example is about meeting different people, and an easy example is about 10 minutes ago. Although I've looked like a bit of a ignorant to AA meetings, I learned something. So I'm happy to feel ignorant and happy to feel like I judged it or whatever, but I learned something.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. Yeah, so you're getting you're getting these things, and it might be worth looking at that and just going through that and saying, right, what is that we're getting out of the podcast? Because I mean, I did that with addiction. It's like, what is it? What's the benefit of me drinking? And everyone's like, well, there's no benefit, man. It's destroying my life. It's ruining me. Like, I'm going to lose my job. No, what is the benefit? There's a reason why you're doing it. No one's going to do something day in, day out unless they've seen more gain than loss.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hard thing to accept, but it's just about being honest with yourself. I reckon it's one of the hardest things to do.
Yeah. Just in regards to, like, obviously the recovery side now, Josh, did you want to dive any more into
keep going.
The backstory? So, like, my thought process has just gone. I've just lost my thought process. But no, what was I thinking? In regards to, like, recovering, it's fucking gone.
This is why Bicker don't talk, people. No, I'm joking.
No. It's I just had it in my head and it's just gone.
No, it's fine. So obviously, with like you've done all those steps, so you're going through these steps that you've taken.
Yeah.
And is how long is this taking you roughly to get to a point where you're like, this is I feel like I'm not there, because I don't. Do you feel like you'll ever be like there, completed, like the recovery side of it, or is this something
I think honestly, like, healing's like it's a journey, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Like, it's a journey, and so how recovered can you possibly be? Well, I think you can not have a drink. That's basically the long and short of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you know, like I can have a drink now by accident. Like if I pick up the wrong drink in the pub or whatever or wherever I'm at, it's not like, wow, yeah, that's fine. It's just oops, you know. So that's
Give all
gone.
my medals back.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, more cards away. But so that's gone. But like, you know, like anything, like when I reach my goal of this job, when I reach my goal of getting a 6-figure coaching business, when I reach my goal of my fitness, there's always going to be something else I want.
Yeah.
So I think that recovery is just going to be the journey for the rest of my life. Like anything like that requires, it's eternal vigilance in it. That's what I think.
Yeah.
And if I can just become a little bit of a better person in that regard each time, and then you can start to help others, right?
Yeah.
And so then you become part of their recovery. So I just think it's never ending, mate. And I think that's the cool thing about it.
So how did, speaking of health and others, how did that come about? What was, because, so what is your current, like, obviously you're doing your CCTV, but in the background.
That's it. Well, I'm just handing my notice in this weekend, so I'll be running out the clock now there.
Fucking hell, that's always a fun time, isn't it? Working your notice at a job. I feel like I've been doing that the past 6 months, honestly. Like, I don't know if you've, like, I speak about it all the time, but I'm moving to America.
Till it gets rejected.
Till it gets rejected, hopefully.
So you'll need, if there's any space in your suitcase when you go to Mexico, you might need it to jump over the border.
Yeah, that's it. Make sure you've got your estimate.
Yeah, but because I'm moving, like, I'm like limboed, you know, because I know I'm not sticking this job out.
You got that meh attitude.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I love my job. I love doing what I do. Like, I that's not even me. Like, oh yeah, I do. I actually fucking love my job. But because I know I'm moving and I know I'm leaving, I'm in like my handed in my notice period. But it's just gonna take like 12 months.
Oh right, yeah, okay, right. So yes, that's tough, man. Because like that's you got to keep the sort of the
motivation and stuff.
Yeah. Like I've got a couple of weeks. But what's interesting is that now I know, like, nothing can like phase me now, you know. And I was on this job today, 4-camera system, based in Indian family, and when I start talking about what it is I'm doing, I come alive. That's one of the things I was talking about the values. Like I just love it. And so before I knew it, I'm sat down at the table with this Indian family eating the lentil, the curry that they just made. You know what I mean? They served me up a bowl, and we're always talking about travel and where we've been and what we've done. I just happened like that.
Yeah.
You know, just pulled me and sat me down. So, you know, you can start to enjoy while you're running out the clock about what it is. What are you doing over there, by the way?
No idea yet. I'm winging it. I'm winging it. Yeah, my fiance, she's from the States, so like we're going over to be with her family and stuff. And then, like, the type of visa I got, I can't work for 3 months, so I'm like, fuck it, I'll just make my decision when I get there.
I like it, mate. I like
podcasting, mate. That's what I'm gonna be doing.
Well, have you seen some of the statistics for podcasting, mate? Like, you know, like how many people do this X, Y, and Z, and like the percentage that actually push it that far.
Yeah.
When
we first started, we had a look at the stats. It was like, if you do over 20 episodes, you're not the 1%.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So if you just keep showing up, you know,
I'm showing up. It's Bicker we got to worry about with that. Silly Sally. So okay, so obviously you're doing your CCTV job, and then like the other stuff that you're doing is like is what you call it? Just, I know it's not a side hustle, but let's call it your side hustle. What is that for the audience? What is that?
That's a transformation coach. So the statement, the mission statement, as it stands at the moment, is I help recovering addicts who feel stuck embrace and reinvent themselves and embrace a new adventurous chapter of life. That's the paragraph, really. So
okay.
Yeah.
So Josh, just before we go into that side of things, with regards to this is where my thought process went. When you started, like, you got into the recovery side, and how long did you start seeing like positive changes?
Right, yeah. Well, pretty much straight away, because there's that.
With myself, it was like in a few weeks, it was wild. Like the thought processes and everything. It was mental, like
absolutely. Because you know what you've been doing, right? For so long, you've been numbing yourself, right? So you've been numbing, you've been hiding away from any emotion. So whether it's happy or sad, it's numb. So the moment, like after a few days, and I started to not feel crap again, I started to feel perked. Then after that, I think at the 2 week mark, you just bouncing off the walls a little bit. You get all this like saliva in your mouth. You can taste and smell things differently. It's all going off. But that's the vulnerable point because you think, you know what, I feel great. I could have a drink. But it was at that point when I was like, wow, I can feel like this all the time. I want to keep doing this. And then like going to the gym was nothing. It wasn't like anything hard about that. And waking up in the morning, just getting out of bed, feeling great. You just got to hang on to each one of the feelings, right?
Yeah,
I know what you mean. It's
absolute
chaos.
Tommy, getting that morning routine and exercise,
and getting air in your lungs and just like
doing that shit, like.
Yeah. People thought I was mental because I'm just like awake in the morning. I'm like, oh, God, you smell like air, and everyone's like, oh, great, man. Yeah.
He's moved from beer to drugs. He's fucking gone. He's on the shrooms at 4 a.m.
Yeah, I'm just like, just grateful for all this stuff. And everyone's like, all right, mate, you know what I mean? It's just castled on into, it's okay.
Yeah.
But I was like, you just start spotting things and seeing things and just going out for a walk was a big one.
Yeah.
I don't know, walk around, and then like waking, like knowing that you could just give people a lift or, like before, I don't know if this was the same for you. Someone had planned something a bit further on, a week's time or whatever, and you're immediately thinking, oh, well, I'm going to have to have a drink. You know what I mean? You were thinking about how you could tie in what it is you're up to because you can't be too far away from it.
See, I was always the excuse of trying to get out of doing it.
Yeah.
What can butter? Kids might be all that fucking day, do you know what I mean?
That's it. And so you think to yourself, like, you end up becoming so antisocial. And the idea in the beginning was that you were doing it to be out and be social. I think it's the moment that you're doing it on your own, you realise that that's not right.
So you just get a new lease of life then, really?
Yeah, totally. But you just got to be careful in that moment because everything feels so good. Like even now, I'd say the only time it ever gets me, if I'm at a group of people and I make them laugh and everyone erupts in laughter in this synchronous moment, I think, wow, let's get leonard. Just for a second.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, it's obviously instilled in me where it was before. Like, I don't know where that comes from. I'm going to look into it a little bit. But it comes, it passes immediately. I don't, obviously. But it's a strange one, that. Yeah. Everyone laughs, and I'm just like, oh, let's get leonard.
Especially with this nice weather as well.
That's my struggle. Like, I'm one of these people. Like, I can go weeks without a drink, right? I can go weeks without it, but as soon as I have one, it's like party mode. If I have one drink, I'm like, because I think in my head, and this is how I like deal with it myself. I'm like, well, if I'm gonna drink this shit, I'm gonna do it. Like, I'm gonna get drunk because what's the point?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and it's like the magic 3 as well, isn't it? Like you'll know from the coach side of things, 3 pints in, everyone's looking at each other. Someone's on the phone getting them in. It's that magic 3. So you go out for one. I mean, let's fucking honest, who goes out for one? Fine.
Well, I do pretty much every time I go now. To be fair, I'm not gonna...
I do actually. Yeah,
I'm pretty good at that. But I'm usually with my missus and my toddler, so I kind of tend to get sloshed. That's what happens when you have a kid and you have a kid and you lose all your friends. That's the easiest way not to drink, guys. Have a child because you lose all your mates. That was a dig at every one of you fuckers now, mate. Cool. So transformation coach.
Yeah.
So we've got the mission statement is, as you just said, and because hear me out, this might sound a bit cunty. It's not meant to.
Go for it, mate.
Transformation coach, the name itself, to me, before speaking to anybody, has always sounded like the same as like a graphics designer for a YouTuber.
Yeah.
Always in your DMs, join this, do that, do this. So I don't. What is it, and what's the difference between? Because I'm assuming there's a lot of people who are out there like, I'm a transformation coach when they're fucking not.
Absolutely.
So, question number 1: how can you spot a real one to a fake fuck? And question number 2: what's a idiot's guide to what a transformation coach is?
Yeah, I mean, I'll totally agree with you, mate. I mean, when I was first time, I'm like, "Oh, what? Are you a life coach? Are you okay?" Now, there's people who have just decided that they can help people, and they've just decided to build a business, a website, and stick a funnel on there, and they think that they can change people like that. Now, maybe some of them can. I went down the right avenues, and I learned everything, and I got ICF trained and certified in that way. So there's models and there's approaches that you can use to shift perceptions. So NLP, for example, and all of these different tools that you can use to actually change the perspective of someone, shift their mindset, and all that sort of stuff. It actually works. Basically, using these tools to reprogram the brain, which is essentially what we're doing, changing neural pathways, just breaking down limiting beliefs, and breaking people are breaking through. So we're actually making a difference, and you can only do that if you learn the techniques. That's 100%. But yeah, transformation coach is something I'll try not to use too much. I just want to, but if I put my program together and I give away as much as I possibly can, and if people want to actually then go on board with me, then obviously there's a package. So I'd like people to see the results from what they get from my channel and on my freebies first. Yeah. So they know it works. Because for blokes, you say transformation coach, they're gone. They're out.
Mm-hmm.
You start talking about transcendence, you start talking about meditation, you start talking about feelings and limited, they're gone.
That would reel Bicker in, by the way.
Sorry?
What?
That would reel Bicker in. He'd be like a carp on a bit of lunch in me, mate, honestly.
So you start talking about all that stuff.
And you can see why I don't turn up to these podcasts, can't you, Tommy? It's pretty obvious.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm ill tomorrow, Josh.
What, I was a scally, you know what I mean? I was unapproachable 2 years ago. I was hunting idiots for sport when I was out, you know what I mean? I was terrible. So the way I see it is if I can start to see that side of things and sort of see some results, then anyone can. But it's just getting them on that on-ramp, isn't it? It's getting them to just see a little bit of a result. Once they do, they'll just embrace it. But it's just getting that over the line. So I haven't really answered the question too much there, have I? Like, a transformation coach uses techniques in order to reprogram the brain, neural pathways. So neuro-linguistic programming is the big one. It's reframing things. It's breaking down limited beliefs. It's finding purpose. All of the good stuff, which really helps you to live authentically, really.
It sounds like, to me, if you're someone who doesn't need a psychiatrist, but you need that little bit of life coaching sort of thing, you need that.
Yeah. I mean, I also think that like a lot of the psychiatry thing, they're designed to keep you coming back.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Yeah,
people see a shrink like every week for like a year or 2 years, or even sometimes for the rest of their life.
And they're not resolved.
My plan is to get results over the course of, let's say, a 12-week period, and then that's it. Get your life purpose, build out a master plan, and then get off and execute it. And if you want to just pop back from time to time for a bit and tune up, fine. But like ultimately, we need to result. We need to like finish it. It's the same process as I feel with the drink. Like we don't want to keep going back to AA week in, week out. We want to get to a point where we're building a life and all we're doing is
thriving
further away from it.
Yeah. See that's what I was.
Josh, in like that psychiatrist thing, like you were saying about them recovering people and stuff like that. I'm sure I've seen something on Facebook or something like that where like someone would go up to the psychiatrist and ask them how many people they've recovered, and all of them said like none. They haven't.
Well, yeah, because
which is fucking, like you say, Tommy, it's for them to keep coming back.
Yeah, it's a racket. It's a racket.
Yeah, because I was going to say it sounds like it's either like someone who, like a psychiatrist for someone who doesn't need a psychiatrist, if that makes sense, or someone you'd see after seeing a psychiatrist. You know, that like the final part of the jigsaw. That's what it sounds like to me. So, cool. So that is sort of. So what is it you're going to be doing in Mexico?
So Mexico, what Coach Masters has got, they've got a place in Bali called Cafe Coach. This one will be called Coach Lum because it's in Tulum. And what it is just a space where people pass through these sort of places, don't they? Digital nomads, coaches, people finding themselves, however you want to sort of frame that. People just looking for a bit of spirituality. Tulum is a very spiritual place. And so it's just a place where people can come together and we can organize workshops. If someone's particularly good with yoga or someone does breath work. I did some breath work, by the way, in Mexico. It's a game changer.
Do you know what? Funny you should say that. We had a guest on, Alyssa, phenomenal. She does breathwork, Reiki, and Kundalini.
Yeah, I can't believe. Anyway,
she literally did breathwork to a point where she was having an orgasm.
Yes, yeah.
And I was going to do a virtual class of her, but then the thing is with stuff like that is, and again, you might find this with a lot of what you do, if you're using like the spiritual side of it, any of that, is it might be really hard to get people to take it seriously.
Yeah, well, that's kind of how I was when I did it in Mexico before. I was breathing away, and I was like, well, do you know what? I'm here with everyone. I'll breathe away for a bit, and I'll participate, you know.
Yeah, because a lot of it isn't. Sorry, just to cut before I lose the name. It's not like this Wim Hof shit, is it?
No, it's you just constantly breathe, but it's like a cycle. So the moment you finish breathing out, you're breathing in, and breathe out with your mouth, and also with your stomach, not with your chest.
Mm.
And you do that for so long. And anyway, I was doing it, and I was like, you know what? That's all right. I'll just participate. And then all of a sudden, stuff started to happen, and I broke down.
People have had trips and shit, haven't they?
Yeah, well, I did. I basically was starting to in my mind, of course. So I started to levitate. And my eyes were open, and yet I wasn't seeing what was there. It was just clarity of a lot of stuff. It's hard to explain, but I mean, I'm going to go back and have a one-to-one session with it. Well, once I'm in Mexico, because you want to let go, but you hold back because typically blokes would do that.
Yeah.
You've got 19 people laid on the floor next to you. Some people were just screaming. Some people were just losing it entirely, you know. So letting all this stuff out. I thought it's profound. Like,
fucking nuts.
That's mad, isn't it?
And there's not a drug in sight. And everyone is just wailing out, you know, just going crazy.
We are so much more powerful than what anyone thinks, aren't we? We really are.
Yeah, 100%. And this is the thing, like,
we're so into this city life and it's so busy, chaotic. We haven't got time to go and do all of this like spiritual shit.
Yeah. That's a question. How do you have like? I want to do all of this shit. Like genuinely, like if I had a daily like task list, it would be fucking 2 hours at the gym, ice bath. Heroin, no, it'd be 2 hours at the gym, ice bath, fucking breathing, grounding, walking, running, all of this shit, right? But how the fuck do you fit it all in a day?
Yeah, that's the thing. That is the thing. I mean, there's that famous quote that Gandhi said, wasn't it? Like, I've got so much to do today, I'm going to meditate for 2 hours instead of one. So there is like an element of like, you actually create more time in your day by doing these things. But then there's a limit, isn't there? I mean,
well, yeah. I suppose it's different for everybody, right? Obviously, because I've like got my job, I'm a dad, I got this. You know, everyone's got so much going on, and like the rat race, for lack of a better term. So it's like, I suppose that's where sort of financial freedom comes into it, isn't it? Or being able to work online and that sort of thing. Is that something you're quite a big advocate for as well? Or
100% it is, yeah. I mean, I because of. It's interesting. Like I was not academic when I was in school. That was how they separated, wasn't it? You're creative or you're academic. So I was creative, so I was going to be a chef. So that's what I was doing. And then so now I've learned about the human mind and behavior, and now I can work from a laptop, and I'm going to. And that's what I'm doing next month. I leave, and I earn all my money from my internet connection and a laptop. I used to look at them adverts and then people doing that. I'm like, all right, bullshit.
Yeah, I still do.
And now it's like, wow, that's possible.
So, like, so when you let's say I come onto your program, okay, and I'm like, right, this is where I want to be. I want to be what you're doing. I want to be working from my laptop. I want to have this. I want to do this. I want to do this. But I've got a family, got rent to pay, got all this to do.
Yeah.
Where the fuck do you even start?
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Like, it's the power of compounding. There's a great book that everyone should read, The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. It's talking about the small incremental changes that you make over time, they compound into big results, right? So let's say, for example, because everyone says that, don't they? Say, well, I haven't got time, or I've got family, I've got commitments.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true. There definitely is that, right? There's no question. But what you do is, if you just say that without even making a plan, you're dead in the water anyway.
Yeah.
That's why the determining what it is you truly value and what you want first, get that done, and then be like, right, what is it you actually want? And that question you want to ask it about 100 times. What do I want? Forget your kids, forget your family, forget your house, forget everything. What do you want? You can be selfish for a minute. You're only writing it down. It's not like you're leaving them or
Yeah.
just get it down. And then what you do is you just think, right, well, what would it take for me to get there? And you write the list, and it might even be 100 things that you've got to do. And it would just seem like crazy, you know what I mean? Like, all right. Then you break that down into some smaller things, and then you just do one thing every day. I mean, like, I started doing videos on TikTok last year, and like now I feel quite confident to do them. Like, you start something, and you just do one thing each day and tick it off. And then obviously dopamine will kick in every time you're ticking off in the list, every time you're achieving something. Every time you show up and achieve something, your self-confidence is going to grow, your self-esteem is going to grow, and it'll start to pick up momentum. And then it get to a point where you are then starting to pull away from your job, and you're starting to do this, whatever it may be, this side hustle in the beginning. And then you start to affirm that you are that. Now, I am now a transformation coach. I am now someone who, a community leader who helps people. I'm not a CCTV engineer anymore. You know, that's happened over the last sort of year and a half.
Yeah.
And all I did is start by, believe it or not, I started making my bed.
Yeah.
Making my bed,
man. Done enough.
Then I did a couple of press-ups, and then I did, a bit of this, bit of that. Then I'm at the gym 3 times a week. Then I'm this, then I'm that. Then I'm learning, I'm reading, just doing a page a day. All of a sudden, I understand the ins and outs of coaching. I understand the human brain, some of the brain regions. You know what I mean? Little bits. Sometimes it might be a page if I'm feeling really shit. All right, I went to the gym for half an hour and I read 2 pages of a book. But I did something every single day. So you're always going up.
Is reading quite a big thing for you?
I never read at school or anything.
I've never read a book.
I can tell you now I was terrible at reading. I still am. But then I started doing that, and I just used to read the words. I wasn't taking anything in. I was just
That's me. That is me.
Yeah. And then eventually you're like, oh, you know what? I'm starting to like learn some stuff like this. And then it just, like I say, it's compounding, and it's just showing up and doing a little bit each day.
Would you suggest reading a physical book over like an ebook? Like a audio book?
Yeah, I would. I mean, I did some audiobooks in the van, obviously traveling like I do, but I just think retention is going to be different for each one. I think picking something that you enjoy first, don't worry about learning too much. Just pick something that you're really interested in. I got a book on mushrooms, actually.
I listened to a 9-hour Star Wars book in the car the other day.
Yeah. Because the thing is, you can end up putting it, speed it up, right? That's one of the things I did. And then obviously, what did they just say?
I don't speed it up, actually. For me, it makes time feel faster when I'm driving. It just passes the time. And obviously, like, the thing is, it was the first time I've ever listened to anything. I felt like I was reading it because I was there. Like, while I'm driving, I am literally on this fucking spaceship and everything, like, in my head. And I've never been so into this book and, like, anything like this.
Yeah, that's true.
I was like, I should have fucking read this. But then I tried to read a book. And the problem is, I think it's just an ADHD thing, genuinely, because I'm like looking... Nope. I can't.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I get that. But I think when you're actually reading a physical book, you've carved out some time when nothing else is going on, right?
So you're using 2 senses, aren't you, as well?
You're there and you're reading it.
Yeah.
So I started doing it before bed. But yeah, again, it's one of the things. People are like, oh, do you know what? I'm going to start reading. And they say, right, I'm going to do half an hour. And then they overwhelm themselves. Like, it's like when people say, oh, we need to lose weight. I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week. How about you get out of bed, do 2 press-ups in the morning, do that for a week, show up for a week first, do that. You know what I mean? And then see where you are. So just get a sign up to the gym, pay for the year, get all this gym gear, and then you go twice and you're fucking aching like hell and you burn out. Just do a press up every morning. Try that.
Or just a walking, just doing 10,000 steps a day.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Like, everyone just wants everything. That's because of the world we live in now, isn't it?
They want it fast, quick results.
No.
It's Instagram thing, man. Everyone on Instagram's got a six pack and in fucking amazing shape, and everyone's like, "No, I need to be that." I'm assuming there's no shortcut. You know, it's a long process, right?
Yeah, I think the only shortcut is to spend less time talking about what is you wanted and looking at everything you want. There's an interesting statistic in there that people will spend more time avoiding the thing than doing the thing.
Yeah.
And in that period of time that they spent avoiding it, they could have done the thing.
I can't tell you how many times I've been to the gym and honestly sat outside. I'm like, I'm just going to have a quick vape and I'll go in. Wait, I need to finish this podcast now because it's only 5 minutes left.
Yeah.
Shit, wait, I haven't got my water bottle. Fuck, I need to go home. Oh, I'm not going.
That's it, yeah.
Like I did that the other day actually, but I ended up going and buying a water bottle.
There's not really a shortcut, but there's definitely ways of making it manageable. Just doing a little bit every day. Sure.
Sorry, I lost you then for a second.
So yeah, there's no shortcut. You're absolutely right, mate.
Yeah.
But just showing up every day and doing a little bit is just the key. It's the best. That was the best book I ever read. That Jeff Olson book. I was like, do you know what? Let's start doing that. And I've got notepads everywhere of things I've broken down, like things I wanted. Like I wanted to have a six pack before I went on this retreat. So I was like, right, well, what do I need to do? And then I wrote it all down, and it's like, just do this many sit-ups a day. I'll just eat this and do this. I mean, I'm probably a little bit anal with it sometimes, but I know that it works now. So once you know a system works, you're just going to keep doing it, right? Which is the thing.
What would you say to people who like, yeah, but you're so fucking strict, like fucking hell, like you sound like you got OCD, you're nuts, like, you know, because in reality, right, like the fact of the matter is, if you're walking down the street and you bump into somebody and they're like, oh, what do you do? And you just tell them everything you said, and they weren't like interested to say, they'd think you're a bit crazy.
Yeah, probably. Probably, yeah.
Like,
but then, you know, at the same time, right, you know, think about all the time that people spend planning all these other stuff. Like they'll, you know, you plan a holiday, right? You plan the flights, you plan where you're going to stay, you look at the local cuisine, you think about where you're going to eat, your hotel, all that stuff. No one does that with their life, though, do they?
So you're just prioritizing your life over...
You're just basically making a plan. Like, as soon as you've got a plan, shit happens, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's the way I see it. And the thing is, even if it's a rough outline, at least you've got something to towards. And then the thing is, I don't see it as crazy anymore because it's like it becomes second nature to do it. Yeah. Everything I shake hands with myself with now, I get done.
Yeah,
you know, that's a cool thing because that just builds momentum and self-esteem. So yeah, it probably is a bit crazy to someone who's not doing it.
But maybe
that's them not doing it is crazy.
That's the thing I was going to say. That's probably more like your lazy person who's got no goals, or they have got goals but they're not chasing them, they're not following them. You know, that sort of thing. It's like, you know, for me, my goal is obviously for this to pop off. That's my goal. Like that's my dream, is for this to, like, you know, have the next goal is X amount of listeners, and so on. You know, I don't care.
Yeah. So the fact that that's in place, you've got such a higher percentage chance of achieving it than just going, you know what, we'll start a podcast. So,
yeah, well, that's
and you metric it, and then you look back in a month, and if it shows evidence of heading in that direction, it's no longer a dream; it is a goal.
Yeah, nah, that's true. Anything else, boys and girls? Jamie B, any questions?
No, I think we covered quite a lot, to be fair.
That's been a fucking sick chat. Is there anything you want to say before you shoot off, Tommy? Anything?
No, I just think I think what you're doing, guys, is quality, and I think, you know, you stick at this, and like we said, you know, you keep chipping away at this. I think you can have something pretty special here. So, you know, let's maybe get me back on in a month. See, I'm not some sort of hippie, and I've gone totally under.
Once you've been in Mexico, I'm going to DM you, and like you're going to have like hair down to here, like beads on, and like everything's going to be tie-dyed t-shirts.
You know it, mate. I'm going all in. But yeah, let's keep in touch and let's see how all of this unfolds.
Yeah, man, 100%. Well, before we go, where can everybody find you? What's your socials?
So it's Tommy Rook Coach is on my Instagram. I've just recently changed everything, so obviously I'm trying to align everything. But yeah, so sorry, we've got a lot of messages going on. Yeah,
that's all right.
You
so
can
he's on
include
TikTok,
all the links
Pete.
anyway, though, can't
Yeah,
you?
I'll put them all in the bio. So
yeah, so we can do all that in the bio. Yeah, so yeah, so Tommy Rook Coaching is my Instagram.
You're on your TikToks.
Tommy Rook Transformation Coach is on the TikTok. Yeah.
Perfect. So, listen, guys, it's been a pleasure. We appreciate you coming on, Tommy. As always, guys, if you have listened this far, which I fucking hope you have, because if not, you're a loser, make sure to hit that follow button, like, and comment. And also subscribe to YouTube, because we're pushing that. It's growing it's slowly but surely we're getting there, nearly triple digits. And as I always say, share it with your dog, your budgie, and your nan, and we'll have a good time. Thanks for listening. Peace out. Bye-bye.
Cheers, Tommy.
Cheers, guys.